Hey guys, and welcome to this tutorial on world creation. In case you haven't yet installed the VRChat SDK, I referred to my previous video. In order to start world creation for VRChat, you have to add the VRC world asset to your scene. You can simply drag it in and that will add it. Now we actually have to set our spawn location first. You can simply do this by right-clicking here, 3D object, and select a shape of your liking. For this example, I'm going to use a cube and I'm going to rename it to spawn. This is completely optional as naming doesn't really change anything, but yeah, it's personal preference. Now, in order to have spawn, well, a logical location for spawn is actually like the center, so I'm going to set to 0, 0, 0. And the height, there's no real reason to have it one block high, so I'm going to turn it to 0.1. An important thing to note, whenever you add an element to the map, is that it's like always centered on whatever your Y value is. But I prefer my maps to be like equal to that. It simply makes other math way easier. So I'm gonna center it around negative 0.05 as that's halfway 0.1 underneath the equator. So that's where I'm gonna center this around. Let's go back to 3D view. Now with our spawn platform, we still have to make the game know that that's spawn. So you open your VRC world and in your inspector, you go to spawns and in element 0, you drag your spawn. Now the game knows that somewhere on this platform it has to spawn your character. When your character spawns, it will always look in the direction of the blue arrow. Congratulations, technically you've made a map. But this wouldn't be that interesting, now would it? Now this is only a pure basic simple tutorial, so what are we going to do? Well, we're basically going to make a beach with some chairs on it and a skybox. So we have our spawn. What's next? We could just have the spawn as our beach, but that's not interesting now, is it? Instead, we are going to create another object. Another object, a cube, again 0.1 minus 0.05, 0, 0, and well, we want it a bit bigger, right? We want it, let's say, a 4 deep and a 4 wide. As you can see, this is centered around 0, 0, but we want it to be a bit more on the blue arrow line. So we are going to move this to 2.5, obviously, because otherwise it's going to overlap, and there's no reason to have it overlap. Now, one of the amazing things about VRChat SDK is that it comes with a couple of prefabs, amongst which the VR chair, which we can simply drag on the map anywhere we want. Let's add a couple of chairs. Come on. Whoop. Now our sun is located here, right? So you can also see the rays are there, the shadows are cast that way. And when you're on the beach, you want to reach to, well, you want the sun in your face. Therefore, we are going to take the rotation. You can always open it with E as well, because I'm a disaster with the numbers. So what I usually do is I click on E to get my rotational UI. And then I just drag it the way I want, just to get an indicator on what number I have to change. Then I change this to whatever I want. Now I have an indicator for my other chairs. And there we go. Now these are a bit random, but I like the way they're grouped. How can I group objects so they always move in one group? Well, it's even simpler. You can right click, create empty, and basically this is a type of map / folder in which you can group objects. So let's rename it to chairs, and we simply drag our chairs into that object. Now whenever I click on these chairs, as you can see, they all get selected. Now I want to move them, so I press W, and as you can see, the movement UI gets activated, and I can just drag them all in the same pace. I can still do them individually as well by clicking on them. So we have our, well, beach, we have our chairs, we have our sun, we have our spawn. This technically would make for a beach map, but I would prefer to have an umbrella. Well, how about we make an umbrella? Let's create an empty object. Let's rename it umbrella. But we're not going to do anything with that yet. Instead, we are going to put it at 0, 0, 0. Next up, I make my 3D, the cylinder. You know, a post, it's mostly cylindrical, right? So we go at 0, 0, 0. Let's make it like too high, a bit narrower. It might be a bit too high. Let's take, 1.5. There we go. Of course, now it's centered on 0, 0 with 1.5 sticking down and 1.5 sticking up. So we have to do this at 1.5, as it will be centered around this point at 1.5 height. This is something that sometimes confuses me, but usually it's like, if you want it to be 3 high, you either enter 3 or you enter 1.5. That's just some finagling. You'll learn it eventually. I'll rename this pole, and then another cylinder. It's not perfect, but it gives an idea, right? Then we select both of them, just hold Ctrl to select the second one, drag them in umbrella, and now our umbrella, which was centered around 0, 1, contains our pole and our, I don't know the name, so I'm just going to call it cap. Now the power of this is, since it's one object, I can simply drag this into my prefabs, which I haven't made yet. So it's assets, right click, create, folder, I call it prefabs. And then I can simply drag the umbrella in prefabs. And now let's say I want to create an umbrella. Oops, I deleted from my scene, but whatever, I wanted 3 umbrellas anyway. Now I can simply go from prefabs and drag umbrellas in to the map. Just like that. It's basically like what it says, it's prefabricated compositions of objects. Now we have our white texture and we technically have our beach. So yeah, let's publish this. VRChat, show control panel. This will pop up a small interface. You sign in, you go to Builder, you set up layers for VRChat, set collision matrix, and just like that you can build and publish for Windows. You can also build and test. This will open the VRChat game and you can actually test run your map. But I'm just going to build and publish for Windows. This usually takes a while, as it does have to like check everything if it's valid and whatnot. Yellow warnings don't really matter that much. You can fix them in order to do some optimizations for your map, but that's optional. Like, you don't need to improve all that stuff. Once building is complete, you will get the Configure Worlds menu. You can just enter a world name. I'll call this World Tutorial, World Beach Tutorial even. 8 players are welcome. You can add a description, some tags, and then you just set that you have the rights for all the to upload this content, and you click upload. You can also move the camera, which I'll actually do in the next step. Well, in the next upload we're going to do. Because if you upload just using this configuration, your world will only be available for PC players. In order to make it available for Quest players, you have to do one other step. There we go. The content has successfully uploaded. Now, our world currently only is available for PC players. Now, how can you make it available for Quest players as well? In order to do so, go to File, Build Settings. Here you will see what you'll want to do is go to Android, but your first time it won't look like this. Instead, it will look something like this. Just open a download page and download the Android program. After that, go back to your Unity Hub and select Switch Platform. This does take a while, so I actually advise you to copy the project, and that way you can actually even create different versions of the same map for both Quest users and PC users. After a bit of waiting, the switch is complete. We can close this, go to Builder again, and as you can see, I can no longer test it locally because, well, it's currently set to Android and my PC isn't Android. So I can build and publish for Android. Building for Android has some limitations, as certain shaders won't be available. you want your world to be slightly more optimized because, well, the Quest is less strong than your PC most of the time. But if you develop with Quest in mind, then most often PC will be able to run your world as well. Just make sure that you also build for Windows and for Android if you want both to be able to use your world. Now, I don't really like the image. What can I do about that? Well, we go to the scene, and as you can see, whilst we're uploading our world, the VRC cam has been added. Now, what does this allow us to do? Well, as you can see, currently it's aimed at the horizon, as indicated by the white box. But we wanted to show off our map. So let's unturn it. There we go, and we already see our map. But I want it to be slightly more show off. So I zoom out a bit. And there we go. Let's even add some tilt to it. -30. Oh, actually it's 30 to go down. A bit higher. There we go. That's a nice preview of our map. So we go back to game. Select upload image whenever you want to change it. Because this is what it currently is. This is what it will be. We select the box and we press upload. After a bit of waiting, our map has been uploaded and we can check it out currently both in VRChat on our Windows machine and in VRChat on our Quest, as we uploaded it both for the Windows and for Android. There we go, content successfully uploaded. That's all for this video, folks. I'll quickly show off the map in the games, in both versions, and that will be it. Thanks for watching, and see ya in the next tutorial.